Welcome to Inside ISAPN, your source for all things APRN in Illinois. I'm your host, April Odom, and today's episode is very special for me because it's a personal story of professional journey and a celebration of what mentorship and friendship can truly look like in the world of advanced practice nursing. Today, I'm joined by Jacqueline Soto, who I'm going to refer to as Jackie, who is a newly certified board certified family nurse practitioner and new graduates. But our story started long ago, back in 2006 and 7 at Illinois Masonic Hospital, where she was a student extern and I was a CNA. And we've traveled this journey from CNAs to CPR instructors, business owners to preceptors, and has taken many twists and turns, but always returned to one core belief, which is when we grow together, we all rise. And today we're talking about the power of mentorship, the importance of friendship in nursing, and why involvement in professional organizations such as ISAPN is a must for every APRN. So thank you for joining me today, Jackie. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
All right, so let's think back to the beginning. So take us back to where it all started. What do you remember about being at Masonic and beginning your career journey?
It seems so long ago, but at the same time, it feels like yesterday. So I remember in 2006, I started there as a nurse extern. So it was my last year in undergraduate nursing school. And I was offered the opportunity to be a nurse extern, which is basically like an internship within a nursing department. I was on the neonatal intensive care unit with all the little babies. I did the night shift. I learned a ton. And from there, I was able to apply to the Versant residency program, which at the time Masonic offered. And I thought that was an amazing opportunity. I believe it was like an 18-week program. So it included and combined both in-person classes, kind of like a continuation of what I learned in the undergrad, but more focused on the areas that I would be working in the hospital. And during that program, I chose where I wanted to work, and the opportunity came to work on the rehabilitation unit, which at the time was part of the Rehab Institute of Chicago. So that was amazing. I loved Illinois Masonic. It really laid the foundation for not only the nurse that I am today, but also the person that I am. And that's where I met you. So the journey started a long time ago, but a lot of memories in Masonic. Again, I love that place and it really made me who I am today.
I know. I think I remember I was in the break room when you're on your first day and you came in and, it was like, oh, how are you? And we just started chit chatting and it's been just like nonstop since then.
Exactly. I'm like, I know I'm going to get it off with her.
Yes. And so, thinking about those early days, how did that shape you as a nurse? And now as you start to transition into a provider, like what things shaped you then that you are utilizing now?
Yeah, so I think education is very important. So that's one thing that I really liked about working at Illinois Masonic. It is an education-focused institute, both with nursing and their residents. And so the program not only taught me, how to be a nurse on my units, but it also gave me the opportunity to explore other units. I remember being in the OR, being on psych, being in L&D, and just being open, receptive as a nurse, because nursing is amazing. We have so many options to do things. And just keeping that in mind that, we really do have the ability to do so many things. It allowed me to be a leader. Once I was able to learn how to be, going from a novice to an expert nurse, I was able to get promoted up the clinical ladder. I believe I ended up leaving there being like a nurse clinician 4, I believe it was. And I was a preceptor, I was a charge nurse. I was really climbing up that clinical ladder. So it really laid the foundation that like the sky is really the limit, and there's lots of opportunities out there for nurses.
Yeah, I really like the residency program, how you were paired with the novice, like maybe an expert proficient preceptor, and then by the end you were with an expert preceptor. those transitions were great to see, because then you got to see the, three different levels of nursing competency, and they taught you so much and so many things. So that was a really great residency that we had as well.
And kind of, to kind of tie it into there, I really learned what you do as a nurse, from you, fortunately. So you were at the time a CNA, and at that time I was like new to nursing. I don't even think I knew where urine came out of. So, even though you were a CNA, you knew much more about nursing than I did at that moment. And so I learned so much from you as a CNA, and I took that as a foundation too. So don't forget about those basic skills that we learn throughout our career.
Mm-hmm. And so that leads us to talk about, like, how did we decide that we were going to start teaching CPR in CNA school? And so in 2009-ish?
Yes.
Jackie and I decided that we're going to open a CNA school and teach CNA and CPR. And it was really successful. We had it for some years. We worked with CPS. But what made us think that we were going to do that? It was so funny to think about now.
Those long shifts make you think a lot. And I know we did a lot of 8, 12, even 16 shifts, and we had some time to think. And I think we were young, we were passionate, we wanted to help the community. And I just remember you turning around in the little swivel chair and saying, have you thought about getting your CPR instructor? And I'm like, no, why? But when you told me that and said, you should really think about doing it, it's a great thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it, because whatever April does and touches turns into gold. So I am going to do it. And we did it. And from there, it grew, from a CPR instruction. I remember we had like this little office off of Broadway Street in Chicago. And I remember you had your son at the time that you were taking out of the car seat, and that's how our journey started. And we were full-time moms, full-time nurses, full-time wives, and we're trying to start a business, but we did it.
We did it. Yes, we had 24, 25 successful cohorts.
Yes.
Over the years. We work with CPS, and a lot of our students, it's so great to see a lot of them are RNs now. And it's just such a great feeling to see, and to see them continue on and on, not just stopping at CNA. I know one of the biggest things was just remembering that, like you said, having that basic skill of the CNA skills is definitely important for nursing. Like, you need those basics, and you need to understand. And I think that's why our team at Masonic worked so well together, because we all helped each other. We helped the CNA. So that was a really, really great unit as well, to just work on that unit and learn from each other and help each other out. It was just something to remember.
Yes. We all learn from each other, most definitely.
Mm-hmm. And it was funny you mentioned, like, that how I helped you. It was only really, I was talking to people all the time, it's because of Ann. Like, she taught me so much as a CNA. I was a CNA, and she was teaching me all these things because she knew I was in nursing school, and she wanted to, help make better nursing. And I still carry that with me to this day, that I need to pay it forward, and I need to mentor the next generation, because somebody did it for me and I have to pay it forward.
We were both blessed by her presence, and she was my first preceptor as a nurse, an RN preceptor. So I learned so much from her as well.
Yes. And so we know, like, at the time we had Competent Healthcare was our CNA business, CPR business. We knew we had the heart, we knew we had the mission. And so what are you taking from that season to now? Like, what did that teach you over this journey?
It taught me that we are capable of bigger things. So I remember us being scared about, how do we apply for this license? What do we do about this inspector that's coming out? The city, wants this and that, and everything was so new. And I think we questioned ourselves along the way. Can we do this? Well, we did it. We opened up a business, and it was successful for 7 years. And now I take all of those things that we learned, those skills, being able to open up a business. And in me, I'm like, I can do this again. It may not be another CNA school, but I definitely have the ability to open up a business, to do bigger and better things for myself and for the community.
Yes. And, sometimes people will look at, oh, we close a business as a failure. But for me, I never looked at it that way. It was always experience. And it was it was just that time on our journey. And I remember the reason why we were moving and our landlord decided to close. They were selling the business. And it just kind of like worked out that we were like, well, you live here, I live there, we're in school. Maybe it's run its course. And what I really, really love about us is that even though we were business owners, we never let that hurt our friendship.
And I think what we did, and I remember having that conversation. I don't know if we were at like Cafe Barbary, but I'm sure we were at somewhere where we ate really good and we had a heart to heart. And because we saw other businesses around us, other personal friends that went into business together, and we saw what the business did to the friendship. And I remember having that heart to heart to you and us saying, promise me that, with whatever happens, that it doesn't ruin our friendship. And if we do have an issue, let's separate business and let's separate our friendship. And I think that's where we came out on top, because you're right, the business was not a failure at all. We did not close because we were doing bad. We just closed because times change in our life. And we're moving on. And it's not a failure because, like you said, a lot of our students still keep in touch with us. Some are RNs. I have social workers, some are doctors, PAs. And I still to this day say, I get messages from students that say, I will never forget the classes and the life lessons that both you and April taught us. And we take that with us today. So definitely not a failure.
Yeah, that's our success right there. And so thinking back too, so it's funny because someone had mentioned this to me when I was saying, oh yeah, I'm precepting Jackie, and when I was a new RN, she precepted me, and they were like, oh, you guys Miyagi'd each other. And I was like, oh, we did. So as you said, you were an RN, you were in the RN residency a year before me. So then you went through the program. And so when I became an RN, you were one of my preceptors. And so you trained me. And then when you went to FNP school, I was able to train you. And so as a student, what did that dynamic or that relationship mean for you?
It really meant a lot because I respected you from the beginning when you were a CNA, because you taught me there. And then you became an RN, and then I taught you. And we were so receptive. I think that's the key, like being receptive, being that sponge, absorbing all that knowledge that person has. And with you, you encouraged me to go to school. I did get my master's like 5 years ago in education. I love educating, and you really pushed me for that. And I remember you telling me, well, you should become a provider. I wasn't ready yet. You were ready. You did the FNP thing. I'm kind of glad I waited because now you have this wealth of knowledge that you were able to share with me once I was ready. And you were able to support me in a way that maybe you weren't ready for 10, 15 years ago. So I'm thankful that I took the time, and I'm thankful that you're in this position because, I'm honored that you were my preceptor.
And and sometimes I tell people all the time that life is not, it's not a race. It's we're running long term. We're on this journey. We're all on different journeys together. It's just really glad when we get to cross path with people like each other. Like, it's so glad when we get to cross path and we get to travel a portion of our journey together, despite us doing different things or being in different places. It's okay. But that core foundation of how we met and how we connected is still remains.
Absolutely.
And so for APRNs that are listening, what would you tell them why mentorship is critical at every stage, not just like now or when you're.
Yeah. I think you might have broken up
like
a little
every
bit.
stage.
There you go. You're back. All right. I did hear that. So, I mean, just to put it simply, I mean, having a mentor is having this wealth of knowledge for free, and people are willing to give you this education and this advice and just leading you on giving you guidance while you're traveling through these different paths. It's so important, especially to have somebody that's been through it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, somebody who maybe has a different view of things. It's just so important and so essential in every step of your career. It doesn't just stop at once you graduate or once you get your first job. You should have a mentor throughout your career, and also pay it forward to those incoming new FNPs. and advanced practice nurses and even nurses, because we really need to give back, just help people give back to us as well as mentors.
And that's what we do as nurses. We have to give back. We have to pay it forward. We have to bring up the next generation because they're coming after us. And so we want quality. That was definitely one reason why we had Confident Healthcare. We wanted to produce quality CNAs to this profession. So you just passed your boards. You completed your postmaster's FNP. Yay! So how do you feel to reach this point?
Well, I will be honest, when I hit that submit your test, I looked at the screen and it said, well done, you passed your test. And it's like, I wanted to cry, I wanted to hug somebody, but you're in this room testing. So I just kind of ran out with a smile on my face. And I remember telling my husband, if you see me, because he took me to the test, I said, if you see me with a martini in my hand, that means I passed. If not, just take me to McDonald's. And I remember him saying, that's fine. We will have 2 happy meals together. He said, either way, I'm proud of you. So passing feels surreal. Right now, I'm kind of in that in-between stage where like, okay, yay, I passed. I did it. I'm so happy, so relieved. I don't have school. I don't have to study for this exam. But now I'm waiting on like all the logistics and waiting for the state to post my license. Then once I get that, looking at the DEA process and then looking at researching collaborative agreements, all that type of stuff. So I'm kind of there right now. I'm kind of like in this in-between stage, but it feels amazing. And I can't wait to put all my credentials up after my name.
Yes. Big accomplishments. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
You know, it was like you said, we talked about it before, and I just knew we would be taking care of people forever. So it was like something we're going to be doing always.
And just in different forms, it's like
exactly.
I thought I was fine, just being a nurse. And right now I love my job. I'm a clinical manager for multiple disciplines, but there's still a little pocket like in your heart and in your brain that's like, I think I can do something else. Not that I don't enjoy my job, but I feel like I can give back, or I'm not maxing out my potential yet. And so I'm hoping that this fulfills that little void with being an FNP.
Well, most times people end up going back for other specialties and all this. The beauty of nursing, though, is that the opportunities are limited. There's so much you can do. So that's the beauty. So over the years, in your entire nursing journey, maybe, or even just during this time where you were a student, what are some of the biggest challenges or moments of doubt that you had to overcome?
I would say the biggest thing is time. So when you are a full-time worker, you're a mom, you're a wife, is finding time. And then also making sure that you have a big support system. Because when it wasn't my family, it was God. It was my neighbor taking my son to school because I had to be at clinicals at 6 a.m. It was you. It was other ISAPN members encouraging me, telling me to check out this place for preceptors. It was so much. And I remember before my pediatric clinical, which was my last one, I called you crying. And I was like, I think I'm going to have to skip a semester. I can't find a preceptor. I don't want to pay $3,500, yada, yada, yada. That was the hardest part, is finding these preceptors, the whole program. And I remember you saying, ask some of our members at work. And I posted it on my Facebook page. And sure enough, one of our fellow members, Shireen, reached out to me. And she said, try such and such. And I did. And I was able to complete my clinicals. So I would say that was one of the hardest things. And then just having enough courage to just throughout my nursing career to speak up, ask questions. And that's the only way really, is that half is what you know and half is you're not working. So unless you speak up, you're not gonna find those opportunities.
Yes, exactly. Your network is your net worth is your network, right? Or your network is your net worth, one of the two, but yes, exactly. So now that you mentioned ISAPN, I know you've been involved since you were a student and you did have the opportunity to help out last year at Midwest Conference. And so what made you want to be involved in an organization such as this?
Periods. Because like I said, FNP has not like always been my dream. It was something that kind of came after many years of being a nurse. So going to the conference really opened up my eyes to see the different roles that advanced practice nurses are in, the businesses, the research, the education they're providing, the differences that they're making in our communities and making a difference in patients' lives. So I was able to attend the conference, network. I was able to learn about different, modalities, different roles that these advanced practice nurses are doing. And in my head, I'm like, this could be me someday. And it's just really inspiring to go to that conference, both as a student, and I can't wait to go as an FNP.
Yes, we'll be in Rockford this year, so I'm so excited. So if you are listening, join us in Rockford in October of 2025 for our Midwest Conference. It's going to be so fun. And so what piece of advice would you give to APRN students, especially students and new grads, on why they should be involved in their state organization? Of course, the only organization that advocates for them and their practice.
Yeah, and that's the thing is advocating. You never know when you're going to need somebody. Besides the networking, you meet so many amazing people. You get to possibly meet a future mentor, preceptors. There's so many educational opportunities. There's just so much out there. And if you ever have an issue with like licensing, or you have questions about exams or credentialing, anything like that, they will jump on it and work with you and work with whatever agency you're having issues with and try to work it out. So they are true advocates, and I'm glad to be part of the organization.
We are so glad to have you.
Thank you.
All right. So circling back to friendship. So we talked about how our friendship has survived time, change, businesses, school, motherhood, being wives, and everything else. Why do you think friendships, or nursing friendships, of course, are important in this profession?
I think we understand each other like nobody else understands each other. I can tell somebody a story about what happened in my day and they'll probably nod and smile. Where you, as my friend and a nurse, will not only understand it because of your nursing background, but understand it because you're my friend too, and you know how I feel. I think just having that relationship as nurses and advanced practice nurses is one thing, but we're lucky enough to have both, where we have, a personal friendship. And I know that if I'm not doing the pushing to motivate you, you're going to be doing the pushing. Mm-hmm. And one of us is going to guide each other in the right direction and always look out for the best for each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's next for you in your journey as an FNP, or now almost an APRN, as soon as that license comes?
Yes. And I know I said, I think I'm done with school right now, but while I'm waiting for my license, I want to get more education. So to kind of market myself a little bit more. I'm thinking about getting wound care certified, obesity management certification. I'm looking at the markets. I'm looking at Indeed. I'm looking at what's hot right now. So I want to prepare myself before I throw myself out there once I do get everything in order. Because I don't want to jump into a job without being prepared and knowing my worth as well when I go into the interview or looking for a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very smart. Okay, so how do you plan to stay involved, give back, and mentor the next generation of APRNs?
Yeah, so definitely I'm going to continue my membership with ISAPN. It's a wonderful organization. Continue going to the meetings. The dinner meetings are amazing. For that alone, I feel like everyone should join. The conferences where you gain a wealth of information, the pharmacology day, opportunities for CEUs. Definitely going to stay with this organization. I want to join other organizations. I was in that I had to take a step back because of school, the National Association for Hispanic Nurses. I'd like to join other organizations within my area. Now that I have a little bit more time, I want to give back. I want to motivate those nurses who might be struggling or have questions, doubting themselves, I would like to be their mentor. And then when the opportunity does arise and I get a little bit more experience, I do want to give back and be a preceptor as well. I think that's one of the biggest challenges we have right now, especially for students in FNP or adult advanced practice classes that can't find preceptors. And there's no reason why, you know, these students should be paying an additional $2,000-$3,000 for a preceptor on top of their tuition. I think if we have all been there, and I think people have to remember that we were once a student. Remember that, give back a little bit.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much, Jackie, for being here, sharing your heart, sharing your story and your strength with us. Your journey is definitely proof that success doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in community and in friendship and in commitment to something bigger. And I am so glad to be on this journey with you, as I said before. So to every APRN listening, whether you're just starting out or you're thinking about what's next, invest in relationships, seek mentorship, and say yes to growth. And let your friends push you along at some point in life. Remember that ISAPN is here to walk that path with you. So join us if you're not a member. Become part of this professional community that believes in lifting each other higher. Thank you for listening to Inside ISAPN. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep leading forward.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.